Hi, yes, I had a question about the Freemasons and their influence on society, and I'd like to talk to you about that. If you recall this saying, liberty, equality, and fraternity, or brotherhood, you'll know that that's from the so-called French Revolution. All right, so-called, and I say that because war is in fact controlled demolition and strategic relocation. And I'm going to say this very clearly. If you, your brother, your uncle, your father, grandfather, great-grandfather, tell anyone or have told anyone that they aimed down a rifle sight at anyone in so-called war and shot them and killed them, they are in fact liars. All right? They are in fact spiritual murderers. And this is very important because war is a hoax, and what is shown to you in these instances are in fact hoaxes, and that's very important to understand because this is a society that is built on a history which is nothing more than events agreed upon, all right, and storylines agreed upon, all right. So this idea of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Oh, before I get to there, and if you're sitting there saying, and if you still want to claim the stories that you've been told as being real, you have now been told that if you do and continue, you are a liar. All right, make no mistake about that. All right, you have now been told the truth. You cannot say and you cannot claim that you have not been told. All right, so moving forward, the idea of Freemasonry and its foundation or its common purpose, the idea of liberty, equality, fraternity, is the idea of a common brotherhood or an equality. So while not everybody goes to the Mason Lodge and not everybody's, wears the little costume and is part of the third level reflection idea of the reflecting pool and the idea of the metallic reflecting pond of Hiram Abiff and that whole nonsense story, you have to then go forward or go farther and then look at then the appendage groups and what other groups then are tied into the same common purpose, the same idea, the same fuel that gets this machine moving. And that goes through several different ideas. It is the organization idea, the common purpose of this group of what's called the Illuminati, if that's what you want to call it, Freemasonry, is its cornerstone is the idea of community or communism, the idea of equality, liberty, fraternity. All right. So then if you take a look at what the appendage groups are, anytime you go into a town, it's incorporated, it has a welcome to, and it has a bunch of little emblems saying it's the Lions, it's the Rotary Club, it's the Masons. They're all part and parcel of the same machine, the same union. So then looking at the idea of unions, you go through the teachers' unions, the parent-teacher union, the idea of the police, fire, rescue, and military unions, the idea of a separation between classes. And that's very important because there's two separations. There's the separation from the have and have-nots, and you will never be part of one or the other. All right? If you're part of one, you are of the other, and never the twain shall meet. All right? So what that means is that the rules and regulations that you fall under are not the same rules and regulations of the so-called royal class or the bloodlines of the entitled. And now this entitlement is not God-given to them. This entitlement is just taken from you and everyone else. And now this is, while you say, oh, I never gave it to them, it's the population as a whole has throughout time, and because they have believed the lies fed to them, they then have waved the flag. They then have sung the national anthem. They've done all that. They've believed the lies. They've spread the lies themselves with their own mouth. They've told stories from their family members, and they've spread the sin, the sign, the wave to the next generation, which has done nothing but enslave them. The wave enslaves. So then while you can know success while being part of the plebe class, all of that is subject to an inheritance tax. It's all subject to being taken back from you upon death. Where when you are of the so-called royal class, or the chosen bloodlines, those who have put themselves above the rest, that all that wealth is always going to be in place, so that while they take and control economies at their whim, up and down as much as they like, when they're ready to break the bank, they are then left in the position to recreate the wealth, meaning that they then open up all the new shops themselves. They are always in the position of being the boss. That's how that works. All right. And so then you have the idea of the grooming, and that goes through the idea of colleges and universities, through fraternity and sorority, where the best minds, the most devious minds, are then recognized and then brought up through the ranks. And if you are of such a mind and of little or no character, of course you would have no morality, and you would care nothing of mankind as a whole. You're then put into the higher positions, because then you are given all the perks and all the different lifestyles, the benefits that will keep you enslaved under your own wealth. While you're having the time of your life, you are dead inside. All right, that's the way that works. So even when you and that works its way down, even down to, like I was telling you before, the idea of the teachers and the colleges, and the idea of the police and fire and construction unions. A lot of these, as you get up to the officer ranks and the administrator ranks, you're making such good money that you don't want to upset that system. All right, so you're going to do everything you can to make sure it's status quo. All right, that's the way that works. So then the difference, the delta between the actual people doing the work and the so-called administrators is such a high level that they're living two different lifestyles. But yet, and here's the rub, is that all of those people are still in the gilded cage. They're still below and never will be part of the so-called upper class or chosen class. So yeah, it's one of those things where you see these kings and presidents and queens throughout the world, and the subjects, the people on the streets, still wave flags and yell to them and take their pictures, just like the Pope as well, as if these people are royalty. It amazes me that you are your own gatekeepers, right? When you do this, all right. So just understand that these people are not to be to be looked down on, not up to. It's very important. The world's been flipped on its head, right? So the people that are supposed to be the servants of the people have become the rulers of the people, and they are looked at as if they are somehow stars, quite literally. Walk outside and look at the sky, you look up to see the lights in the sky. It's quite interesting about that. Just so I don't want to belabor this point, but so the star, the sun, the moon, all right, they're just lights. You're not going to travel in a rocket ship and get up there. No one's ever landed on the moon. You do know that. All right, so it's important to understand all these different ideas that I'm talking to you about, because once you understand where you're at, you can then have a what's called a more educated game plan, or an opinion on what to do next. So anyways, it just goes to the fact that you have this and this is at the higher so-called degrees of Freemasonry, where you learn. And if you would like to take a look at one of the manuscripts, which is going to be from the late 1700s, look up the Franken manuscript, and then that will through that whole, you'll be able to read through the different degrees. You don't have to go to the lodge. It has all the questions and answers and the little lectures, and you'll learn what I'm telling you is in fact the truth of the matter, is that you eventually learn that this is the 3 words that illuminate Freemasonry. And then this idea is what I've just got done talking to you about. It's the idea of keeping those within the gilded cage, working towards the goal of that so-called common purpose. All right. It's also to then tell you that there's 2, in fact, real enemies, and those enemies are shown to you in the character of the idea of the Pope and the idea of the King. Now this is where a lot of people get confused. The idea of the Pope is not, now that's the idea of the idea of false religion in general. The idea of the church is where you go and you call people father when you shouldn't be doing that. The idea of the king is the idea of governments in general that have, instead of working towards the common good and taking care, of their obligation as servants to the population, they have become tyrants to the population. All right. So then this reflection that is shown to these people looks appetizing because it's reflecting of an idea of what should be, but then what they won't tell you, and what is not seen by most of these participants and members of these organizations, is that the groups that are leading them are in fact the ones who are perpetrating the lie in the first place. So you're working for the guy behind the curtain, that Wizard of Oz character. You're working for that guy because he's showing you a reflection, and you're looking at the idea of yourself in the mirror as being this hero, taking down a system and erecting a golden age, or a common purpose, or a new idea, but yet you've been lied to the whole time, and nothing is being put up whatsoever. In fact, it's the same system that will always be, because this is a fallen place. This is a fallen reality. All right, the god of this world is in fact Satan, or the devil, the idea of the dark light. So that's all I really have to tell you on that. So I'm not here to save this world. I could care less about it. I'm actually here to destroy this world in any way I can, because it is no good for anybody. All right, and by that I mean all the institutions, all the lies, all the hoax war, all the hoax news, all the death worshipping, all the bringing people down into the dumps, into the blues, creating friction with people because one person believes that this person died and the other says that this person died, and they're all liars, and they're all contending against each other through hoax news and through false ideas that have been given to them from liars. All right. And here's what's really, and here's the bottom line, is all of this is the gatekeepers, the controllers, are all within the population of the controlled. Those of the so-called royal bloodline, they do their own thing. They're having the time of their lives. They're living deliciously. They have want for nothing. And you'll never be part of that group, nor should you even want to be.